welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunn again.
And we're getting our final, I guess, of this variation of the DC. We got the Flash movie that was that one that's been in the works for, it seems longer than, need be. Like most things, I guess, but...
Well, it was first off, before we get into it, it was originally going to be a much more simpler movie, I believe, at some point, and then that took like years to get off the ground. And by then, they're trying to think of ways to reboot DC. Like, let's just reboot it with Flashpoint. We'll just reboot it with Flashpoint. Let's do that. And then that took long. And then that was like they were that close to finishing. That took forever to get going. And they finally got to it. And then like all the shit with Ezra Miller started happening, and people started getting fired, and shakeups started happening, and people getting swapped in and out, and regardless of what we feel about the movie, I'm just going to say it shows. It really shows in the movie.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones, like, it comes together. And, I'll say, like, if you're just taking it at face value, it's an enjoyable romp or something like that. I know that's one of those things that, it's thinking about, when you think about Flash just in general, you're like, man, there's so many things you could do with Flash and so on like that. And, it's like, no, let's just push Flash. He's there, but with Superman, Batman, just like stepping in, like, oh, we'll just put this all in there. That's what people really want to see. The Flash, they don't want to see you.
Just two Batman stepping in front of him, pulling the wingspan out.
Yeah, like I always this is what I picture with Batman sometimes in certain things. Like that part in like Orgasmo where like stunt cock and there's just like that guy's ass that just stands in front of the camera. I just picture that happens in the DC and just Batman's ass just stands in front of the camera. Hey, what? This is what the people want to see.
Just George Clooney's ass.
They want the bat cheeks.
Or the bat bulge, even from Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things. Before we get into it, I'll say I actually liked it a lot. I mean, I'm not going to say I loved it, but I liked it, and I figured I liked it. I like it. It was one of those movies that, like, I heard mixed things about it. I heard some people saying greatest superhero movie ever made, or this and that, which I don't know where that's coming from. But
that's the guy who just did a big line of coke beforehand, probably, and then just got all emotional by the time it gets towards the.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'll get to something about me in that in a second. But like, no coke involved. But like, I'll say that like I really liked it. I thought it was fun. But it was also kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like how I sort of felt about, this is going to seem like a weird comparison. This might make a lot of people tune out before we get into spoilers and all that. But I feel kind of like Last Jedi to an extent, in the way of like a lot of people hated Last Jedi when they walked out of it. And I didn't hate it. I mean, I liked it enough. But I was kind of like, man, if it was more fine-tuned, it has the ingredients to be the best Star Wars movie, because it's bringing up themes and pushing against norms of Star Wars, but they don't really it didn't do that good of a job of it. Where this, it's not so much that in the concept of like, oh, it was pushing norms or anything. It was more of like the ingredients are there, but they just shuffled it in a weird order, or they just realized, oh shit, I forgot to preheat the oven. Let's throw some salt. Fuck, the cap came off. That's too much salt. And just whip this shit together real quick. It kind of came across like that, because for a minute it does seem like this is a fully coherent movie. And I heard people say shit kind of falls apart in the third act. And like, I think that's just people saying they're a little tired of all the CG or whatever. I'm like, oh no, shit did kind of fall apart a little bit in the third act. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you know what? For me, I will say this is how I kind of felt. Like, I think the movie starts off really good. Like, I think the intro that they got there, the action scene going on, where Batman's like, "Yo, Barry, get over here. I don't care about your fucking like peanut butter and jam sandwich. People are in fucking danger. Come on down and save some babies. And it's like one of those ones. I think that action scene there at the beginning starts off strong. It actually is like a perfect example. There's that part where like Flash runs from Central City to like Gotham. I'm like, that's the perfect example of CG like in action. Like, that was a cool run scene, just like the way it was, just like behind him and he's running and it's just speeding through and so on like that. Like,
the
that was
fast rock
totally
music.
Cool. Yeah, the fast. They had a good soundtrack going on in it too. And just, you go in there and you get this cool action scene. You get Ben Affleck, Batman in there and whatnot, and Alfred's, choreographing everything from the comfort of his chair. And everything
He's
there, I think, was really cool.
Place of John Jones.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of like, but it kind of works. It's like one of those ones where it's like you simplify it a little bit. You kind of give them those kind of roles. It's like, there we go. Wonder Woman even shows up in that scene for a bit and so on. And just like all that kind of coming together. I mean, they even sort of have Superman. They're like, what's Superman doing? Oh, he's stopping a fucking volcano. Isn't that what's supposed to happen in nature? Now Superman here. Yeah, that's the back of his head. Or just be fucking grateful that that's what you get. There's your Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what's he doing out there? Is he going to fight Black Adam like you promised?
Yeah. Keep on your breath, kid. It's also one of those things of like, as the movie kind of starts off, because I'll be honest, a lot of the comedy didn't really even bother me, just because I know the way Ezra Miller plays Flash, and I know the way I just kind of had just given where previous DC films have come out recently, I kind of had an idea. Like I saw Shazam: Fury of the Gods on HBO Max the other day. I didn't actually see that one in theaters. That one got by me. So and I'm like, that one was way more comedic than I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it. I think it could have been a little shorter, in all honesty, watching that one again.
Sorry, I had to manually pull my focus in myself. Like, I felt like it was like a Star Trek wait. I was like, damn it, that thing went off my face and focused on God knows what. But I still like that one, even though it does kind of got the comedy going in Shazam. But I feel like whatever, that was kind of what they were going with. They were trying something different. It still was fun, still was action packed. But as Flash goes, the one thing I was going to say is kind of weird about that one is that once that action scene in the beginning stops, which is really cool and so on like that, I feel it's like the part when he starts going back in time, and it's not all of it, but some of it that there is where the movie kind of dips for a bit. Like there's like a 20, 30 minute period where you're kind of almost doing like another reorigin, be like, okay, we need to do this, but now we need to fix our second Flash boy and, get through this thing. And some of that stuff in there was, I think that was the only part that kind of slowed it down until they found Batman 89.
Yeah, well, I'll be 100% honest, because we haven't really seen that much of Flash. We've only seen Flash basically interacting with his dad in one or two scenes back in the Justice League movie, and then just kind of like other Justice League members. We don't really even get a chance to see Flash in his own element. And so to kind of see that, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I know we've had the show for years, and I kind of tuned off the show like after the third season or something like that. But it's one of those things where it was just kind of like, okay, cool. I kind of forgot there wasn't an action scene until the prison break. I didn't realize until like they started the prison break, like, wait, this is the first real action scene since the beginning of the movie. And if I didn't notice it, then for me personally, if I didn't notice it, then I guess like it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me that much because there's always something happening. It's always moving somewhere, and I was always curious where it was going. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think we both knew, and most people who've read comics had an idea of where it was going to end up. And we all knew that something was going to happen with the other Barry. I did think that was still an interesting contrast with the other Barry, because it was something to the effect of like, it could be a very stupid joke, but they played out a point like, oh, if his mom didn't die and he didn't have to like grow up quickly, he would have just ended up as just a burnout,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like it does make sense. It definitely is one of those ones. It's like, oh yeah, it's just like, because he's got nothing to worry about. Everything's sort of taken care of. It's almost like one of those ones. It almost feels like you could have him on even like a more different trajectory. It's like he's still doing the same thing. It's just he's just doing it at like his own pace, I guess. I feel like when they did go to like his apartment, and for some reason he has the same apartment, it was like, how long has he got that apartment for? That's all I started wondering. Like, he's been living that same thing for like 10 years. Because I thought that was going to be a joke. Like, they go to that apartment and like they're just not thinking, and they're like, oh, somebody else actually lives here. And it's like, no, apparently Barry's just been renting that same apartment for like God knows how long.
Yeah, well, even like I'll say a kind of a moment that this is the thing, because like this feels like this should be this third Flash movie, really. That's how it really feels. And I think there's some moments that were funny, but since this is like the first time Flash is getting his own movie, and all the characters that just usually populate Flash's world are in the movie, like there is this whole like group of people he hung out with at the police station, and there's like Captain Cy or Sny, who's always yelling at him, but always you got potential kid. And then there was, I don't remember the guy's name, but there's the girl Patty, that was the girl from Dairy Girls, and I want to say in the comics they dated for a minute, and she's a lot more put together, and you kind of can sort of tell that when you first see her. So the juxtaposition when you see her as like a burnout crashing at his place as a roommate, like that's the thing that I think would have been funny. As a comic fan, I know that's funny because I know how she's in the comic, but it is like, is this only being the first Flash movie, and this is the first time we're kind of seeing her more or less? I think that punchline kind of loses its sting, not sting, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's how I kind of felt too. Is I felt like that, like the stoner friend part was like, like to me, like that was the part where it's like, can we get moving on? This is kind of dumb. Like that was the part where I was kind of not losing it for me, but I was like, this is okay. You're trying, you swung and you missed, sort of feel like, I see what you're doing, and it's not that it doesn't work, but it's just, I don't know. I just thought that part was kind of. I was kind of glad that like
Eric Stoltz thing.
They didn't come back to those characters. Like that was like, okay, once we're out of that room, pretty much, that's it. I'm like, oh, okay, good.
I was kind of chuckling a little bit at the Eric Stoltz thing. Like, no, Michael J. Fox was in was in Back to the Future. No, that was Eric Stoltz. Michael J. Fox was in Footloose. Like, no, that was Kevin Bacon. No, Kevin Bacon was in Top Gun. Is that the one with all the gay guys playing volleyball? Yeah, just.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't like some like little funny bits in there and so on like that, but it was like one of those ones. I felt like that was the only part of the movie that I felt was kind of dragging down. And as I said, and once we got sort of past there and so on like that, and started revving up, and new Flash gets his powers and whatever, and then we get past that kind of initial like origin stuff, even though I know there's not been like a Flash origin thing, but it felt like since we've already like shot him into the future anyways, it seems weird to kind of be like, okay, now we need to sort of retrace the steps and explain this all to people again, even though we felt like we sort of have but haven't.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see. I mean, I wasn't expecting a full. I mean, I guess it was going to happen to some extent because I saw the other Flash was there. I'm like, well, he's probably going to get his powers somehow. In some part of me, and I wasn't entirely wrong. I'm like, he's gonna become like Reverse Flash or something to that effect, and other different people. But in the comics, the whole thing with at some point, Reverse Flash, when Barry Allen was thought to be dead, Reverse Flash came back in a time with Barry Allen's face, like, "Hey guys, I'm back to life." And we feel like, oh no, it's not Barry Allen. It's Reverse Flash pretending to be Barry Allen. And then that's where, so I was expecting something kind of like that. At some point, I'm like, they're committing really hard to this, so I guess they're not doing that. But I knew for the second, like, the thing that got spoiled for this movie for me was fucking McFarlane Toys or Collectibles or whatever posted this on their Instagram of Black Flash. I'm like, okay, you couldn't wait till the movie to come out. They posted like a month or a month and a half before the movie was even out. So I'm like, all right, we already know who's going to be the villain of the movie to an extent.
Yeah, well, and that goes to some many other things too. Like the other biggest downfall is like the trailers. It's like they clearly didn't learn from Batman v Superman. Like they showed everything in the trailer pretty much. They probably didn't think they showed everything. It's like, well, we have some other little bonus things. Like, yeah, but that's just for like fun. That doesn't have any like technical story like relevance. All the story relevant stuff they show in the trailer. I think that's one of those ones where it's like, I didn't expect, like, I was like, I'm not going in there. I'm not gonna be like, oh shit, Captain Cold's gonna appear in here, and they just didn't show him or anything like that. I'm not going in with any of those like anticipations. I know that's part of the case, but I was still kind of hoping there would be at least something that was kind of be like, okay, maybe there'll be something that's gonna really like, but it's like that thing that like, I feel like in that trailer, like you probably didn't need to show Zod in that trailer. You know what I mean? No. You probably didn't need to show Supergirl in that trailer. I mean, I feel like, showing 89 Batman, that's like the, like, let's get people in the doors. I kind of get that. You got to sometimes show that just to do that there. And I feel like that's enough. Everything else, hide that stuff. Wait for people to come see the movie.
Yeah. Well, it was also something to the effect of like, like, yeah, they basically showed every story relevant beat in that trailer, really, with the exception of Black Flash. But I knew some evil iteration of
Yeah,
Flash was going to happen with there being two Flashes.
and no other Flash villain. That
It's,
was like it had to be that.
well, yeah, and plus, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one of those things of like, I know it's a weird circumstance they put themselves in with this, but it feels so fucking weird. That it looks like Flash. I mean, I'm guessing we know at one point in time he just pushed Captain Boomerang, and then he got then he got caught by the Suicide Squad. Okay, whatever. We know that happened. Beyond Captain Boomerang, we don't even really. Maybe he's fought other of his own villains off screen. We don't know, but. When they're showing all the, it's like it just feels so weird to have Flash just be the guy who helps out with other Justice League shit rather than like the guy who's got like one of the biggest, most popular, like in DC at least, some of those popular villains out there,
Well, yeah, it's like he literally has one of the coolest rosters of stuff that I feel. You know what? That's the thing. You go to a different universe. This is how you bring back Captain Boomerang after like that Suicide Squad 2 one or 3, however you want to look at it, like kind of like just killed him. And there was a 20-minute period I just sat there just being like, I almost had a hard time soaking in the movie because that's all I was thinking about. Like, they killed fucking Captain Boomerang already. Like, that's like one of the best characters.
I'm not gonna. I mean, I kind of was prepared for that because I was thinking about it. Like, I have not seen him in a whole lot of the trailer, and I know he's part of the opening mission or whatever. Because I was one of those things like I wasn't even like going down like those like. Let's connect the wires to the picture on the on the cork board. I wasn't even like doing any of that. I was just like, you know what? I've not seen him interact with a whole lot of people in that trailer. I've not seen him interact with Bloodsport. I've not seen him interact with King Shark, and I don't think it's going to pan out. And they're like, oh, that early in the movie too? Shit. Okay. But regardless, that's still one of my favorite DC EU movies. But at the same time, that's my only big complaint about that movie, just Boomerang. But regardless, it felt so weird. Like I thought the opening would have been perfect for him to like help Batman bring down one of his villains. Like I heard like a rumor that Golden Glider was going to be in it, but I mean that was just rumors, obviously. So much for that. But maybe that guy he was chasing down was a villain, but I didn't catch the name, and I don't think he was anybody. He just seemed like just some punk kid or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things, like, it just feels so weird to, like, it's just kind of like a best of with Flash is the main character. It's kind of what it sort of felt like to a certain extent,
Mm-hmm. I mean, as I said, like, it's just still cool stuff that goes on in it. And some good moments and all kinds of stuff like that, and the action's great and so on. But yeah, it does feel like I felt like you could just throw in a couple little extra Flash characters, even if they're quick and to the point, and then to top it off, I just feel like those trailers just should have, like, a lot of these things would seem really amazing if like it wasn't spoiled. Now I know this day and age, it's there's always some jerkwad who works at like every studio who just loves to like put shit out, which I almost feel those like this almost feel like the olden days that guy would be shot in the back of the head and buried out in the desert if he did something like that. But for some reason, we just let that slide now. You went out like hey, like don't you dare fucking spoil like this John Ford movie.
RKO like just calls in like some like dweeby little like sound engineer, like, oh hi, you wanted to see me, sir? Like, Rosebud, huh? You told him what Rosebud means? No, I didn't. Like, just a bat goes over his head. He's just like, like the opening of Gangster Squad, getting pulled away by like.
Yeah, he's getting pulled apart. Like, that was what I was thinking of too.
Orson Welles is there with the cigar. Like, leave it there as a reminder to the rest. Like, flicks the cigar onto the corpse and walks away.
Yeah, as I said, it's like it just seems like nowadays it's like almost like there's like people that are paid to like just, or I don't even know. I think the movie studios just allow like, okay, Tommy, today's your chance that you get to post it on your social media.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I don't know what it is. I feel like they feel like, I honestly think that this is a weird combination of things. I don't know how many different producers. I know at least 2 different like heads of studio shuffled through the doors while this movie was getting made. possibly more. They say this movie took roughly almost 10 years to get made. I think maybe not this version of it, but just a version of the Flash, where he's probably fighting one to three of his villains. I'm guessing, that it went on like fuck it, it's just gonna be a reboot movie, And I think that shows, because I honestly feels like it's setting up Kara Zor-El to replace Henry Cavill. Like this world, I got the feeling this movie originally was going to do something to the effect of, this is the world he's in now, and this is the world we're in with DC. And Michael Keaton's is now this world's Batman, as well as Kara Zor-El is this world's replacement of Superman. That's kind of the vibe I got. And I feel like they hit the reset button in that. And don't get me wrong, I like Michael Keaton, but the dude's like fucking 70. He's almost 80. Why come on. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still has it. He did a great job, but come the fuck on. We need longevity. And then like I like Kara, but I'd rather see Kara as her own character rather than the replacement of Superman.
Yeah, because it's one of those ones because at first I read the trailer, I'm like, I'm not too sure about her costume. I just thought that looked kind of half-assed. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're doing more like she's just putting the Superman pants on instead. And she still did a pretty good job, though. I still liked her in this movie and so on like that. But it does do that thing. Like once they kind of get in the big action scenes and everything like that, it's this weird one that this movie actually, I thought this was supposed to be like a flashpoint, like, oh, this is what's going to set up for the new one. And it's kind of like, no, not really. It just happened to be like Flash's Tuesday, and he went off on a misadventure and came back and realized what not to do.
Well, he's still things are still different in his world. But when he comes back, but at the same time, I think what this is saying is from this point on, whatever universe we're focusing on, it's a separate universe. So that's why we're not going to be surprised if we see Jason Momoa or someone else from a previous movie in there. That's my assumption. So
yeah,
like that,
it's like a light change, not like a hard change.
Yeah, they had to do the thing where they spell it out for you that some changes could happen, some changes don't. So it's almost kind of like convergence, where it doesn't matter, fuck it, just go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of those ones, or like many of the things too, like New 52, even and all that stuff, where it is the changes. It's like
New 50... Go ahead.
No, you go first.
Like New 52, for a minute, they were like very strict on some things, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Hey guys, does this take place like does Action Comics take place like 7 years before the rest of New 52? Yeah. So does that mean in the course of 7 years, Batman became the Batman he is today? Yeah. So that means in the course of that 7 years, he had Dick Grayson, knocked up Talia to have Damian, and also like they just go down this list like so there's just some things they didn't account for, and then like
and to top it off, nothing changed in the Green Lantern story. Everything is the same as it always was.
Exactly.
It's just a continuation. Yeah, it's one of those ones. Like sometimes it's that thing. It's just like, I feel like you don't need to restart like the main series. Like it's one of those things. Like I always think that like Action Comics and DC or Detective Comics, like those two ones, they should almost be like that's Batman and Superman from literally like the 30s till now. You converge their age and all that stuff like 007 style, but like that's the continual character that just always goes on. Like that's the place that if you want to have a story where it's like it references a 1950s thing, you can, because that's what it's made for. And then he'll use the other stories for other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, they basically at this point just use it as just the other Batman story, the other Superman story. But yeah, it's interchanging all the time. But I do like that concept though. At the same time though, this one right here, like I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a really good time. It really is just a matter of like, first off, let's talk that when I was saying this thing was like, it shows this thing was just like, oh, fuck, we forgot to preheat the oven or whatever. It shows that fucking CG, because, God, that CG was like, I feel like at times I was looking at like, like in-game footage of like a PS3 game.
I didn't notice it being that. I don't know. Maybe just CG is just CG sometimes to me, like on so many of these movies
when
nowadays.
When he's in the little tube and there's the layers of the flashbacks he's going through time and like how they almost look like animatronics, the way they kind of move and all that kind of shit.
Well, I just thought that was part of like the way it was supposed to look. It was supposed to have kind of a weird look to it. I don't think I didn't feel like that was like meant to be like really realistic. It was supposed to be like he was seeing it like in kind of a weird like alternative like frame rate type stuff.
I guess, but then there's also even the way the babies looked when he was in that whole like scene where he's saving the babies and like all that kind of like I don't know
if it was a 1920s movie, they would just chuck those babies out the window. Yeah, there's a sofa below. Hopefully they'll land on it.
It was cinema, goddammit.
This is art. Don't you dare take this away from me, Hays Code.
A man actually got killed in Spartacus, and we used it. God damn it, we're gonna use it here too. Or was it Ben-Hur?
Ben-Hur, I think, was the one where the guy got killed. I don't think Spartacus is. That's like the 50s.
Oh yeah, Ben-Hur, where they actually got that. We like he really got trampled by the horse's death there. Use that shot. Shit, that's authentic.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? He would have wanted that. Are you gonna credit him in the movie? Well, no, he doesn't get a credit. He's not one of the main guys.
You can't hear him because the microphone wasn't loud. The microphone wasn't close enough, but he just kept on yelling, "Keep rolling."
You sure that's what he was yelling? Yeah, I'm pretty damn sure that's what he was saying. Yeah. I know him. He's all about art.
Yeah, like I'll say this. Even I mean, it was complaining about how cheesy and how fake the baby scene looked, where he's saving all those kids and the dog. Now, I actually still like that scene in concept, just because that seems like a real like kind of Flash thing, because that there will be those moments where he saves people. It's everything at once, and I also did think it was almost kind of like I liked how ridiculously comedic it was. And I'm not gonna lie, when I went there, I got a beer at the theater. And there's a very strong beer here called Le Chouffe, and it's just a very, very strong, like dark Belgian beer. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have anything to eat that day, and I drank that thing because it was a hot day, and I was already a little buzzed. So that scene, that movie, I was like, "Oh God, this shit's stressing me out," because I just had like a busy day at work too. So I just see him just like running up, and there's a
like a
bottle of acid. Yeah, there's like a bottle of acid about to fall on one baby, a bunch of scalpels falling on another, a dog looking all scared, like, no, save the dog first, and then there's like, every kid just about to get like crushed by something in midair. And I was like, oh yeah, that's totally me. I totally get it. That was my day at work today. I feel it. So, I relate, Barry. Yeah. And then like it's by that point though, like after I'm like, okay, I knew everything was gonna be fine. I was just like, oh shit, I need a minute to take this in. This is too real right now. But then he ended up like, of course he ends up saving the day, and it's a little bit more of a comedic scene, and I think that works. I'll say there is this little bit of thing as I'm watching the movie. I do kind of lament. I think DCEU does need to be a light reboot, which is what they're doing, just because just for the sake of bringing some characters back. But that said, I do lament a little bit that we're not seeing as much of the world, because I do kind of like seeing how the Justice League is still active. It's not like they got together that one time and then for one post-credit scene Peacemaker. They actually are there, doing things constantly and calling up on each other, and Jason and Aquaman and Flash grab beers after work sometimes. Like there is like these things that like I wish we would have saw more of throughout these. But so it is a little bit of like a we could have had kind of thing,
Yeah, no, it definitely, because I've always felt that the whole time. I was like, I already liked that world as is. I just felt like I wanted to see more of it. It's just they just weren't pumping them out like they should have been,
I always feel like we kind of. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say because this Flash one sort of feels like it's not like the finale, but it's sort of like that's sort of like the ending bookmark of that older era, I guess you would say now.
Well, it feels like they went in with headstrong with how they wanted to do their version, their more Snydery version. When things started to fall apart there, this person went this way, that person went that way. you had different people in like studio positions saying they want to bring this person in, they want to bring that person in, this and that, all this back and forth, all this pulling of the stick. So, you know, you had like Jason Momoa was there, is still hanging out. Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, the two heads of like the DC universe in that aspect, were just kind of like, you want a cameo? I can do a cameo. Yeah, I can pencil that in. Sure, why not? You know, I'll film an extra scene for Snyder Cut. Sure, why not? Okay, you know. And now it's like, so I kind of get why we do this reboot to a certain extent, just because I would like to see. I don't need everything connected. I don't think it needs to be as connected as Marvel is, but I think it'll be cool to something like Batman does Batman stuff, Superman does Superman stuff. They might reference each other for a minute, but then everyone gets together for Justice League and go from there.
Yeah. I think that's the total way to kind of go, you know. I mean, because this movie right here is like sort of like a mini Justice League movie. It's kind of weird to almost call it even a Flash movie. It has that. It's like kind of like I was gonna say like Captain America 3. It's totally like that, where it's like to this day and age, I'm still not too sure why they call it a Captain America movie. That feels like that should have been like Avengers 3 in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's yeah. It's kind of one of these movies that just has like, the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. But at the same time, it's also one of those things like it did leave me kind of wanting more, I guess, just because even the final battle, it's kind of like, okay, it's the battle of like, you know, Krypton versus Earth out in that empty field. And even though there's still some things in this movie that just felt kind of like weird placement, like that scene, even though, you know, we still got, you know, seasoned Barry and new Barry kind of getting the swing of it and getting into the ropes of it all, there's still a lot of comedy in that, to a point where it was a little hard, where like, don't get me wrong, I really like the Racketeers by, you know, or the Jack White song. I mean, I think that's the name of the band, by Jack White. And I like that song too. That's not really the best place for that song, where, you know, a bunch of people are going to die. Like, let's do this. Like, you guys are going to fucking die. You know, I mean, like, I just thought that was just kind of a weird placement. That's more like a middle of the movie kind of song, you know?
Yeah, well, because that's the thing, is like that last battle, it has cool action in it, and there's all kinds of neat stuff going down, but it does feel like now it's like, well, this now feels like just like an alternative remake of Man of Steel. Like once we got to that part there, you know. And I love how like no matter what, like like all these previous movies, like they always keep trying to throw in there, be like, you know what? Remember when Superman was battling Zod and everything like that, and everybody thought everybody died? Well, guess what? Barry was actually there. He was saving some people. He wasn't doing the greatest job, but he was there. So not as many people died as you once thought. Once again,
he saved one kid.
Yeah. Well, I like to assume he saved more. It's just he was not the greatest about doing it. He did save the father, and then he went home and cried, and you know, did a Barry thing, but he was learning his powers.
He went all Shinji on us.
Exactly. But you know how I'm gonna say this, that ending battle, I know this is kind of armchair directing it, but like, because the way that it sort of sets up past the ending battle, and you got it's once again, it has this issue's kind of come up, I feel like, in just about every single multiverse movie that's came out in the last couple of years, is that when you show that kind of multiverse stuff, that opens too many possibilities, and I feel like they barely use any. It's like how Doctor Strange 2, it just didn't use as much as you would think kind of on it. And I almost feel like what would have been kind of interesting on this ending battle is what it was that since Barry goes, oh, well, you know what I have to do? I need to rip some of these other dimensions, you know, heroes out to help fight Zod's army and something like that. And maybe in Zod's army, you could have even Zod have a couple more extra people in there just to make it feel like it. But when it goes down, like, you know, what I was thinking is like, you got in the end of the movie, you got all these, or like when Barry's trying to, you know, turn back time, which you could have put the Cyndi Lauper song in there if you wanted to. Shit, you're throwing songs left and right. Why not?
Cher.
Or Cher. I mean, yeah, not that. Yeah. But, you know, when it shows like Nicolas Cage Superman, which was pretty darn cool, because I knew that was coming up. The second I saw the spider, I'm like, oh, I know who's coming up here. That was the spider gave it away. But like, I felt like you could almost even use Nicolas Cage a little bit more, like, and have this thing where like Barry thinks that like maybe even young Barry does it. He's like, I can fix it, and he brings in like Nicolas Cage Superman. He brings in maybe Wonder Woman from like a different alternative version, and so and he sort of creates this mixed match Justice League thing, but it still has that same like thing where it's like, hey, you know what? Doesn't matter what you do, they're never gonna make it. They're just gonna die in 10,000 different ways. You know what I mean? Like have it have that, but make that battle seem really epic. So it's like, you got Michael Keaton Batman, you got Nicolas Cage Superman. I don't know, maybe you got Lucy Lawless like fucking Wonder Woman. You're just making up all these like cool variation ones, and you're actually using them a little bit more than just being like, hey, check it out. Like it's like they're actually kind of a key character, sort of, but you still have them all kind of. There's no winning. You know what I mean?
It's kind of funny you say that because, I mean, when I saw that scene, I knew there was going to be some moment where he's running through like the vortex and then the worlds collide or something. And then I also had a feeling it was going to be like, that's probably we're going to make references to this or that. And there's all the ones that, here's the thing about that. I wasn't expecting all those references, but at the same time, I felt kind of like numb to it. I guess because I felt like, and this, I wish I could take credit for this, but Corey Coleman from Spill, not Spill,
Double Toasted
said this, and I'm like, that's a perfect way to put it. I'm like, don't get me wrong, like I was enjoying the movie, but that whole part where they just come out like, it's like, here's the Easter egg hunt all at once. It felt like a guy walking like a big bucket of slop to like a pig trough, like, here you go, piggies. Like, eat up. So like, I'm like, that's true. Yeah. I was just like, okay, cool. 66 Batman. Okay. Oh, Nick Cage. Oh, Christopher Reeves. What a shock, So, and it just, the thing is, because it wasn't like, they're all just sitting there like, what's that big ominous hole? We're here, so it just felt kind of like, whatever.
I mean, it's like, it's still kind of neat. Like, I feel like it's like
cool, but
but I feel like what I want to see more in those kind of scenes is just utilize those characters for like something or another. You know what I mean? Like, don't just show them, like have them actually do something. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Like, even if it's CG Christopher Reeve, and then which I thought was really cool, is they have the 80s Supergirl, like the very unknown DC movie. Like, I was like, why don't you have them come in there and they fight a bit? I mean, they're CG characters. They don't have to say anything technically. I mean, in this day and age, you can get them to say stuff because you can just get a robot to play Christopher Reeves and it'll sound just like him. But why not utilize it more than just like, we're staying here, we're looking at you. What are you doing, Flash? You fuck up?
Yeah, and I guess it also felt kind of like, other than like,
run your ass back home.
Run, boy, run! Like, well, it also felt kind of like,
like when they're showing like old serial Flash, and I don't know why it pictures like that scene
where Garrett Flash.
Yeah, the Jay Garrett Flash, but like it reminds me, I don't know why, like the Happy Gilmore, like when he has like the think of your happy place. And I don't know why. The Jay Garrett running and looking over, like almost giving the thumbs up. It just reminds me like it came straight out of that.
Well, it's also one of those things like that whole part, like, I mean, wrong in concept. It's cool they referenced it, but I guess I just feel like it's just there as opposed to something like, I'm going to use another example. I know this is like already just from last week or whatever, but like Across the Spider-Verse, like they use those characters, not all those characters, but they use those characters. There is a toy of a T-Rex Spider-Man. There's a toy of that. Like, let's throw that in a movie. He's not a main character, but he attacks them, and there's a quick little scene we could do with him. That's cool, Or they Spectacular Spider-Man had a line, So it's like they at least use them and not have them standing there with their arms on their hips. So it's one of those things like they used Ben Reilly for a minute. Yeah, he was different. They made him more comedic, but he was there. So it's one of those things where like this was just like, they're there. I appreciate you reference them, but that's all it felt like. And I guess this day and age, I feel like the studios are now, we can just really lead into this fan service shit. And it feels so weird to me because some fan service shit, like, it feels like they were so cautious to go in and just like, it's Flash. Let's use Flash stuff. where they're going to go with this weird deep cut. Like, remember that time Kevin Smith talked about the movie that almost got made? So we're going to pull from that. So it just seems so kind of weird. Some of the things they're like so gung ho to throw in there, but some of the things like Captain Cold, Mirror Master, I don't know. We're already iffy on a guy called Boomerang.
Yeah, it's weird the choices that they get. Well, it's like they go after. It's almost like the ones that like press people's buttons for like emotional reactions.
Yeah,
and that's sort of like kind of what it is at the end. As I said, it's neat to sort of just to see, but it is one of those ones like I feel like that's why I feel like I'd like to see it just be utilized a little bit more than just like hey, check that out. Like they remind me like they're made to be, especially this day and age, is people who's going to use them as like headliners for clickbait stuff.
Yeah, I can already imagine. I didn't look anything up for it, but I can already imagine like all the 51 cameos you didn't even notice.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be some stupid YouTube video like that, that's going to go through that. But like, and that's what I think they're hoping for, is things like that. And like it's a weird thing. It's like when you sometimes let marketing people like write stories sometimes.
I did actually. Small thing, small divergent here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to point this out. I'm sure somebody else has already pointed out. People could say, you're being too nitpicky. I'm like, I don't think I am, given the logic this movie set up. I just want to point this out. One of the ways they figure out Black Flash is green is an untrained Barry Allen is the scar he has across his mouth. Barry's whole thing is, aside from speed, is fast-acting metabolism. The reason he was able to like heal from getting struck from lightning twice in a row. So we're gonna tell me a scar, and don't give me this bullshit. Oh, it's Kryptonian metal. A scar is gonna still be there like 5 lifetimes later. I'm just gonna say I think there's another way they could have done that. Maybe he lost his eye or something like that. Maybe there's another way, because you can't grow those back. So
yeah,
just
yeah, it's not like Barry's Piccolo or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, just a little thing I caught there in that moment. The minute they brought it up, like, really? I mean, okay, whatever. You had to get it there, but I think there's other ways to do it. Thor got his eye knocked out and was still PG-13. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, so it is one of those weird ones where, yeah, you show him healing all the time in this movie, from like stuff, getting shot, getting stabbed, all kinds of stuff, and one little like
lightning
knife shave cut.
Twice.
Yeah, lightning twice. They literally have to Frankenstein, old Barry back together, like at some point, which was actually kind of an interesting scene where, you got Michael Keaton Batman's just like, literally, he's just like in his house. He's like, don't mind me putting this giant bat kite up. Not like I want to know where people know where I live, but.
I'm retired. Who I got to impress? Yeah, I'm Batman. What are you going to do about it? You're welcome. Hey, you like killed a whole like factory full of people back in like 89. Yeah, they're fucking assholes. Well, I'm just saying, don't you? I mean, you're kind of, there was some janitorial staff still there when the building blew up. Shouldn't have fucking been there. I don't know. Okay, 2 janitors or a whole city. What do you want? Oh, wow, you're way more jaded than I thought you'd be. Yeah, time does that to you, and money. So get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, you must be related to that clown that I strapped dynamite to and chucked over the side of a building.
Yeah. Or the one that like I peeled out in the Batmobile and set on fire, just 5 minutes later.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's like that's what makes it fine for like, Michael Keaton Batman can be using any forms of like rockets and bullets in this movie. It's whatever. Like we'll take that. For the most part, whenever I see Batman using like even like Ben Affleck Batman, even though I know he can't do that too, it's like when Batman's like so gung-ho about using missiles and like bullets, and then not even like concerned about ricochets or anything like that, or stray bullets just going off into God knows where.
Well, when he went into the room and there was like all the different bat suits, I was kind of looking like, oh, there's a Kingdom Come bat suit. That's cool. Then I think on the far left, there's one with like gun holsters. I'm like, did this Batman want it? Like, oh wait, this Batman totally would. After a while, I'd say, you know what? fuck batarangs, come on, you know?
And I felt like that was kind of supposed to be a reference to like Thomas Wayne Batman, sort of like they're just sort of mix matching it together.
Yeah. Or even just way
But,
back in the day, like way back in the day when he used to just be like, "Take this, you goddamn criminal! Like, get over here, you goddamn commie Democrat!"
Yeah, we're hunting out the Reds. But but yeah, it's like one of those ones where it's just so funny how like there's just people out there that God forbid they could like if they can have Batman shooting missiles or a gun or at least a spear gun or something, they're gonna have it. There's just those people out there that like they just do not believe Batman doesn't use guns.
Yeah, I mean, the image of him with a gun is cool, but at the same time, it's like not the. I think it's one of those things like it doesn't really kill it for me. I think that the next time, I think it's kind of interesting because like Dark Knight was so adamant about he doesn't kill people. Like, he kind of did kill some people when you think about it, but okay, he didn't pull a gun on nobody. You know, he's like, it wasn't me that crashed the car. It wasn't me that killed Talia. She was just a bad fucking driver and just went off the side of the road. What can I tell you? You know, but then like, and her fucking stupid dad. His fault. He didn't bring a fucking parachute. You know? So,
Yeah.
but then then we get to like, you know, like Batman v Superman. He's just like, you know, okay, he's shooting people. It's a dream sequence, and he's driving the car, and he's like knocking dudes off the road. This car flips over. Like, well, they're probably just like mortally wounded, but that's not the same as killing them. And he just like shoots like a harpoon in the back of the car, drags it into something else, runs it over, flips it, explodes. Like, all right, yeah, do that.
Yeah. They're now dead. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you always try to put like logic into there. Like, okay, I think it's going on. Like, no. I don't know what it is. It's like people can't get away. Like when they're making the movies, they want to have that Punisher Batman still. Like they still like want to have the Batman that kills.
Well, I like that. Well, I appreciate Pattinson didn't kill, but you know,
Yeah.
we'll see. We got a couple more movies to go for him, so hopefully he keeps his record clean. But the next Batman, I mean, they're going to go younger and younger than Affleck at least, and they're going to have Damian. So I don't think he won't be early 20s. Maybe he'll be late 20s, early 30s. Like got knocked up. Maybe knocked up Talia when he was like
what, like
training as a teenager.
like high school.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones like sometimes it's like
shit.
it's like that thing that that's what I mean is it feels like it's gonna be like one of those like it's that weird thing. It's like no, Batman should be. I always feel like he should be 007 age. That's what he needs to be, is you know, give or take 40s. Like, you know, especially if you're gonna have like, unless you're gonna have maybe like a year one Batman. But if you're gonna have Bat family type stuff, it's like Ben Affleck Batman's the perfect age to have like the Damian running around.
Yeah. I mean, I could still see like Batman at 35 or 36 with the Damian, but like he would have had to have the kid like unknowingly, like when he was like 17 or 18, which, you know, he was probably fucking way early before then, you know. Billionaire playboy, all that, had plenty of practice, traveling the world and shit, you know. So
yeah, but I feel like that's when he's all in like his serious training mode, like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like
a few nights off, yeah. Went to some opium den somewhere, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those ones.
I think he probably just take the edge off. I don't fucking know, you know.
Yeah, one of those things, but yeah, that's the thing about the Flash movie. It's a Flash movie. We keep getting distracted with Batman because he likes to step his way into all this and so on, you know, or even just like having.
On the whole, like with the world's merging thing, aside from like old timey Flash running, everything there was Batman and Superman, because that's all they really had to pull from of like pre-existing cinematic stuff.
Yeah, because I don't think I even saw like it was like there's not even like the 90s Flash TV show. I was almost expecting like that to show up in there since they're showing other TV show stuff. It's like no, fuck Flash.
Yeah,
it's one of those ones. Movie. You know what? I also felt like, you know, since that movie was relying on like, hey, we're having like music, you know, soundtrack going on. There was such a missed opportunity once again to have like, this is what it's like when worlds collide by like Power Man 5000 right there.
I think you're the only person still rooting for that song. Not to be that guy.
Power Man 5000. It's just one of those ones. I felt like, dude, he even says the line. He's like, dude, it's like worlds collide right here. I'm like, dude.
You're like, it's like this song.
Yeah, it's like, come on, you could have thrown like then you would have had a really good song in there. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus.
Well, that definitely would have been something people were talking about after the fact. Like, I'm surprised of all songs they could have pulled. I mean, I thought maybe they're trying to do some James Gunn shit, but I'm not really sure they were, doing this. They're playing like Power Man 5000 in what's supposed to be a very emotional scene.
So it's funny because it's like that song is like at that weird time period now where you could just tell kids be like, oh, that's a weird shit my like dad listens to, Power Man 5000. That song's now at that it's not classic yet. It's at that weird like in between phase.
It's that weird phase. Well, I don't know. I think that are we going to get to that phase? I don't want to backtrack away from Flash too much, but let me just get this out of the way. I'm not saying Power Man 5000 is as bad as these guys, but Power Man 5000.
Like 5000.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad. They don't go.
I heard bad.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad. We can drop our defenses, okay? I'm saying, but they are in that same ballpark as like Trapped, 3 Days Grace, Lost Prophets, like all this kind of like, like that, like not new metal, but that shit that was kind of like wannabe Nickelback kind of. They're in that same ballpark, that same range, or like Breaking Benjamin even. Mm-hmm. Are we going to get, because I feel like the time where people would be nostalgic for that has already kind of passed, because we've already kind of just skipped that and jumped right over to emo. I feel like some people are already nostalgic for emo shit. So I'm wondering, is that just going to be that weird little niche that the people that love it always love it? Or is it going to be one of those things like, bro, I can really go for some Trapped right now. Like, list like 5 people, Well,
the only thing I will say though is like when you look at concerts though, because kind of like the big guys of that section is like, because it is kind of, I guess, in that sort of new metal mixed match post grunge, but it's like Rob Zombie, his brother of Power Man 5000, still holds like that top tier. Like they'll have a concert and he'll be like the headliner of like all these other metal bands, which is always kind of blows my mind after like
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, it's really weird because it's thinking about like, okay, like I love Rob Zombie, but like, in a sense, like he's almost running off those like late 90s hits. It's not like in the last 20 years, I feel like he's had more movie hits than he has like, album hits in a while. So it's kind of weird that like he can still hold. It's even the same thing with Marilyn Manson. Like those guys both still hold like a top tier, like headliner. Like, you know what I mean? Like there'd be like 30 bands underneath him. And some of those bands are going like, come on, dude, like, really, like we've put out like 15 more albums since then, and like, why are we like way back here?
Well, I think something like them is they also at least have the aesthetic and the theatrics, where something like a lot of those other bands I was just talking about, they kind of just have the whole like white kids, baggy jeans, baggy shirts, but they're doing kind of like very by the numbers rock music of the time, and it's usually very angsty and kind of like, my dad is mad at me because I didn't mow the lawn. That's why it's on the cover of me mowing the lawn, So, and like I feel like that kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's people out there like it. I feel like, I don't know.
I mean, at least I was gonna say Power Band at least has like, because I always thought Power Band was like, it's like Rob Zombie but with a sci-fi like 50s theme. Like at least he's got like, that's the thing. I feel Power Man's at least got a theme going.
No, yeah. That's why I think his stuff is a little like faster and louder, and I definitely like him way more than these other ones. I'm just saying these other guys are just like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just like, I remember when they're for a minute like Motley Crue was trying to, we got Crew Fest, like, oh, Motley Crue, okay, all right, Motley Crue, cool. Who else? 6 a.m. Okay, well, Nikki Sixx.
That is Nikki Sixx. Okay, it makes sense.
All right. I mean, okay, cool. I guess. Cool. All right. Who else you got? We got Cavo. All right. Who else?
Buck Cherry.
Chevelle. Like, all right. No, I'm good.
And then the worst one of a Theory of a Dead Man, who just makes like the most retarded songs.
I fucking hate Theory of a Dead Man.
That one. I remember that was like the most disappointing thing. I'm like, you know what? No, I don't think I'm going to that Crew Fest. I was really excited, and then like,
she's a bad girlfriend, bad girlfriend.
It was one of those ones. I remember when that first came out. I was thinking like, dude, like, you know, like what it should be for Crewfest should be like Avenged Sevenfold, you know, Wednesday 13, like all these bands that have like a Motley Crue kind of theme to them and so on like that. But instead, I felt like Motley Crue's like, no, like that ain't what's playing on the radio.
I feel like
there's that sort of old man out of touch thing I think going on there, like.
I feel like Theory of a Dead Man. Like here's what I think I have. I think like Chad Kroeger wakes up from a cocaine bender, and then like looks down at something he wrote. You know, like he just pushes like some hooker off the table. Like, what's this lyrics I wrote? You know, and just sees the. You know, it's like, no, crumples it, throws it out the window, and then like you know, Theory of a Dead Man's like
comes out the bushes,
runs off with it.
I remember Theory of Dead Man. I'm like, you could get some 14-year-old kids straight out of like freshman year that could put better songs out than Theory of a Dead Man.
Yeah.
That band was that. I feel like that is like one of those ones like how they made. I mean, I give them credit for making it so far. You know what I mean? Like clearly they've done something right, but I've never heard a song by Theory of a Dead Man that I was like, wow, there's some genius going on there.
Regardless of how much shit I talk on this band or that band, and my wife tells me I'm a music snob, and maybe I kind of am. I try not to be, but at the same time, though, like, hey, you guys at least manage to get some instruments together, bang them together, make some noise out of it, and make some money off that noise. So for that alone, okay, kudos. But really, yeah, it doesn't change the fact on the fucking songwriting.
No, that never does. Like, yeah, you made some money, good for you. That's always a plus. But yeah, if people somehow like it, question their behavior. But you know whatever. Yeah, that's one of those ones.
Well, Theory of a Dead Man did a song for the first Spider-Man movie, which this movie also has songs not from Theory of a Dead Man, but that's just my loop back around. Yeah, this has a soundtrack just like the Spider-Man movie does. So yeah.
Well, that's like well, my favorite Marvel movie. That's
how we brought it back around so effortlessly and smoothly.
You know, that's like the Daredevil has that one soundtrack that's like really like almost dates the movie, but like in a good way, I think, especially as like time goes on. There's that like 10-year period where it's like, man, that seems kind of weird. But like when it gets to like a 20-year period, you're like, no, that like actually is kind of, I like when those movies almost have that like in the longest run.
Oh, we got some Seether going, like featuring the girl from Evanescence. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm broken because I'm so mad. My dad grounded me.
It's like I was just watching.
I'll play this when Sid's son dies. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just watching the History of Trunks Dragon Ball Z movie, but I wanted the old school experience, so I bought a VHS copy of it to remind me of like what it was like in 1999, and I forgot like because it has like the Soul Asylum soundtrack.
I didn't know they.
So it's like there's a lot of fucking songs, and like there was that time where they're like, we really need to sell an album to go with it. Like that Pokemon to be a master soundtrack is blowing out of the water. We got to have something like that. Be like, well, let's be honest, most people don't have a soundtrack as good as to be a master. But
well, Pantera was in Broly.
Was he? Or were they?
Yeah, Pantera was in Broly, like with the part when he's turning into like when it becomes Super Saiyan. He's like Kakarot, you know, and then what was the other one? There's a couple like Disturbed was the Lord Slug, but I never saw that version of it. But well,
I was to say because nowadays I have all like the modern versions that just have like the Japanese soundtracks in them, which I almost kind of wish they would still put the like. Can I have the old American soundtrack in there? Just
animation one where they threw down some money for it because they always get like one big band and then a bunch of bands no one heard of just to pepper throughout it. And then like Deftones were in Cooler's Revenge, at least the first one.
Oh, see, I do have Cooler's Revenge on VHS, so I probably have that version that has that.
It's such a weird song because it's the part where like Goku turns Super Saiyan, and you know, it's like that. I watched you change into a flower, doing that, and it's just like. I'm like, you know, I mean, granted, there's not a lot of fight happening in that scene. It's just kind of cooler. Like, wait, that is the monkey I refused to kill 20 years ago. You know, it's all coming back to me.
Well, it's funny because like I was looking at the credits of the Trunks Revenge movie, and they had a Slaughter soundtrack or song in there too, and that just feels like that one where it's like, hey, you guys aren't doing anything, right? We need to get some like older guys to come in here. We're not that old. Hair metal? It's 1999. Give it up, buddy. Come on in. You can do a song. We're allowing you play with the wrestling boys, with the new metal crowd.
These guys got big hair too.
And I was just like, wow, those guys probably felt like, oh, sure, we'll come in and do this Japanimation thing, I guess.
Hey guys, we got an opening for you at Chuck E. Cheese. You're going on after the animatronics.
Yeah, but I thought you said the animatronics were broken. Oh, they are. Kids like it that way. Believe me, in 20 years, it's going to be the most popular thing.
Just waiting to see.
Shit, they're going to be making a movie about it.
I know, it's fucking, I don't, autism. What are you going to do, right?
Doesn't that blow your mind? I know we're like so off topic here, but like, doesn't that blow your mind that there's that Five Nights at Freddy's thing and how popular that is with the kids? But I feel like kids have no idea where that really originates, because that's like one of those ones like that feels like that almost, I don't know if it was initially supposed to be made for like our generation, someone that grew up with fucking Chuck E. Cheese and Pizza Time theaters and all those things, where like you knew like when those robots started to like the animatronics started to give out and they got funkier over time and they just weren't working properly. Because it's one of those ones like none of these kids that are obsessed with that Five Nights at Freddy's have they never went and saw those. Like you could barely go to find, like even if you go to a Chuck E. Cheese, I haven't seen the animatronics there in the longest time.
I think it's a couple of things. I think it's like basically, I think they're, they have internet. They know of creepy looking animatronics, and basically it's just a jump scare game. A very easy. Well, I don't know. I can't say it's very easy. I only played a little bit of the first one, and where you just basically click between rooms, just try to avoid the jump scare. So it's just one of those kind of things. Like, I think that just got addicted to it. That got them addicted to it. Plus, I guess there's all this like lore you can uncover and look into, and that's what kind of pulled them in. And just the whole like, the thing is when I saw people reacting, because like I watched a couple reaction videos, but there's some people just curious to see what people thought of it. I'm like, oh my god, it's the Wolfie. Oh my god, Wolfie's in this one, and just like. I'm like, well, you know what? I can't talk shit because I was excited when I saw a character named Shadow the Hedgehog. So who the fuck am I to really judge?
Yeah, you're not going to judge somebody else's fandom or whatnot and so on. But from going from all these soundtracks and getting back to Worlds Collide, when Flash is fucking running through there and he mentions that and so on, you see all these kind of somewhat, it's like kind of weird. They're pulling just some DC like things here. Like, okay, well, we got all these kind of mixed match things and so on. And as neat as that all is, as I said, I wish that was kind of worked in more. I will say one of the strongest scenes, though, does come when Flash does kind of go like, you know what? I got to put the fucking tomato sauce back.
I got to basically my mom die. And that is one of the best scenes in the movie. And I think that scene really kind of helps. I'm not going to say save it because I was already enjoying it. I just thought third act got a little bumpy with all the, Black Flash got crowbarred in there at the very last minute. Like, I'm actually the villain. Like, okay, cool. What are you going to do? I'm going to try and stab you. Oh, I'm dead. And then like, so, but regardless, the scene with his mom.
I'm going to say this. I feel Stoner Flash, I don't think would put that much time into going for like 70 years trying to fix this fight. I feel like that's the Flash to be like, fucking, I guess it's not gonna work out. Like, I'm gonna go sit on the couch. Call me later. Like I almost have that like I feel like that personality trait doesn't seem almost like the guy who's gonna put that much effort into it.
One thing I'll say is I think that we kind of saw a real turn on that character because he was just kind of like, oh my god, superhero shit. Oh my god, this and that. This is so crazy. I can't believe this happened. He's just along for the ride, and this is already a time traveler, so he's already like, whatever. Everything seems possible. He's not stressing anything. And then like and then he hears about his mom is going to die or did die, and then everything became way more real and way more like, oh, there's actually stakes to this. Oh, he is actually worried. He's not being a stick in the mud. He's actually worried. This is the reason why he is the way he is. Okay. okay, what do we do? And at that point, he got better, and we actually did see a progression for him. And the second he realized, you know, what other Flash knew, he was just learning. So I can kind of understand why they did that. I still feel like it seems a little slapped together, because for people who don't know, in the comics, the whole thing, because it's also something they bypass in the first like Flashpoint movie that's animated. The person who actually killed Barry's mom is Reverse Flash, who is just evil Flash from the future, an alternate version of him. There was a guy who was obsessed with the Flash, and then he studied and realized that, oh, wait, I am his arch nemesis. And then he went back in time and retroactively just destroyed Flash's life little by little. And Barry went back in time to stop him from killing his mother and framing his father. But then this version, they just leave that out. There's like, it was probably just some bank. There's probably just some guy breaking in the house, whatever. You know?
They never come back around to who it really was.
Yeah, and so maybe they're leaving that for a potential sequel. I don't know, but
cops are just like, yeah, it's Barry's dad. Like, look at him. He just looks like he's a murderer. You know what I mean? Case closed. Shit, let's get out of here.
Who buys tomatoes while wearing a hat? Really? Come on. You know?
Yeah, well, what's he out there? You know what I mean? Like, come on. No. You stabbed your wife. We know it.
Don't play. Come on. Yeah, just you did it. Come on, just sign it. Just sliding it over. Just sign. Just put the pen in his hand. Just moving it forward. Just sign it. So the whole scene when in the comic, he has to like stop himself. He tackles himself from going back in time. Basically, fights himself for a second to let this happen, and that creates the New 52. And this. He just kind of sneaks in after future Barry leaves. He sneaks back in and basically lets it happen. And when he has that scene with his mom at the end, that is probably one of the best scenes of the movie, I thought.
Yeah, I think so too. That definitely was like, that literally brought tears to my eyes. I was like, oh, that's so sad right there. Poor Barry. He's never going to get what he wants.
I will say, though, I think there is like, because, if you think about the context, because it is like a very beautiful scene, but if you think about the context of it, just like some guy in sunglasses acting all shifty and like a beanie, like, hi, my mom used to buy me that kind of cereal. Who the fuck are you? I'm just some guy. Like, stay up straight. Look someone in the eye when you talk to him. Come on, your mom is very fucking disappointed in you, huh? No wonder. I bet he says like I know because I can tell, because you know why? I hate my fucking kid. I still unload right now. I hate my fucking kid.
That's why I buy him the cereal, so he gets diabetes and dies a slow and painful death.
That's why I'm letting him have as much as possible. I'm hoping by the time he's 6, he loses a fucking foot, so he won't be running around the house so fucking much, Good thing is there's a lot of stairs in our house, so let that little fucker try and get up there in a wheelchair.
God forbid he gets any faster.
Yeah. I just gotta unload sometimes, I just gotta let this happen, I hate my fucand kid.
I hope my husband comes and stabs me. And if he goes to jail, at least he won't have to see him anymore. I'll just have to hear him when he calls on the phone.
Like, hey, what do you do today? Like, oh, you don't want to fucking believe this shit,
Just ruins all that emotion for, okay.
Just oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, that doesn't, it goes the good way.
Yeah, so but Barry he puts tomato sauce back, but he puts all the tomato sauces on the top shelf so that when his dad looks at the camera, this time they'll actually see his face because he won't have that baseball cap blocking it.
Yeah.
God forbid that's the only camera in the store.
Apparently. Well, back in the 90s, maybe it was.
Yeah.
They're cheapening out.
I guess that's how old Barry is in this one. I feel like he was not that old. I feel like he's younger than us almost. We're at that weird point now where it's like, I feel like I realize like, oh, Alfred, that looks like someone more my age range now.
Mosquito.
Take that, you. It's one of those ones. So now I start seeing these other ones, like these young bucks in there. Like I'm like, that Barry boy. Well, he's like,
An air whippersnapper.
yeah. Well, I'm like, he's got to be like, it's like, yeah, it's like maybe late '90s, if anything. Shit, I bet you that's supposed to be like when he's like a little boy. I bet you that's like supposed to be like early 2000s. Yeah, he's probably he just got back from that fucking Daredevil fucking show. Ben Affleck.
Yeah. No, I think he's meant to be kind of like around like late 20s, early 30s. Actually, no, he's actually meant to be. No, he is supposed to be younger because because they say
like
he got
just out of college.
He got his powers when he was 18. So yeah, and that happened in 2013. I'm not sure how much time moves in that direction, but yeah, how much time has moved along since then in this universe. But yeah.
Shit, that means he was fucking watching like Iron Man 2 then instead.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's not far off from our age then. I guess if that moved around that time, it's not that much younger than us, roughly. If it was around that time, if it is around that time, because that was 2013, we were like
2013. Oh, he was 2013, 18.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes him like way older now. But I mean, granted, this movie took a sweet time to come out, so
who knows? Who knows where this movie really takes place and how long they've been doing Justice League shit.
But
when you think about it, Man of Steel is only 1 year away from being 10 years old.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I just remember when Dark Knight, was 10 years old. You're like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, there's some kids that are like, they're watching that, and that's their like, that's like watching, Superman 76 when we were growing up.
Now it's like, I think
or 77, whatever.
15. Now I think that movie's like 15 years old, and Dark Knight Rises is 10 years old. So shit.
Yeah, that's the weird part. Making Batman Begins. Almost 20.
I don't want to mind.
but yeah, speaking of even just feeling old and all that stuff, is shit, like, because Barry fucking switches around those tomato cans and whatnot, what switching tomato cans from the bottom shelf to the top shelf does is it creates a paradox where George Clooney gets to be Batman again, which just made me so excited when I saw that. Like, it seems that when that movie ended, I'm like, shit, if Batman and Robin is like the canon one now, and this is how we're going on from now, is old George Clooney gets to come back and be Batman, I'm like, you just made the Batman movie for me. Like, the universes have come together the way that I've always wanted to. I always wanted George Clooney to play old Batman.
I liked how they actually said, who the fuck is that? How they just blatantly said it.
One of those ones, like, that was so cool,
Well, I also think it's cool because regardless of what people think of Batman and Robin, they're just giving George Clooney another, like, go at it, just like, yeah, just go for it. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think it's
I think that was still a joke, but
I think this is just them saying goodbye to this particular universe, and then we're going to just focus on a different universe as some of the same actors. Now we know the reason why they're the same actors and different actors here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's kind of what it's going with or something like that, I mean, if you wanted to keep it where you had an old Batman, I think George Clooney would be the awesome one to, like, carry that on. Like, I always thought he would have been the best choice, or, one of the best choices, because Michael Keaton's still a cool one too, but it's for, like, if you had a Batman Beyond movie, like, to have, those guys kind of be like, hey, they can be the old Bruce Wayne, old Batman, and so on like that, I did like that scene where after he was after he was back home and he was like sewing up his wound, he looked in the mirror and he had this kind of look like, I'm back, like he kind of realized, oh, this is what I do, like doing this. Yeah, I also liked when Michael Keaton had, like, long hair and a beard too. Like, when he I always loved that when people got the Green Arrow look fucking going on for Batman.
What song was that he was fighting him to? That is that Jethro Tull or is that something else?
No. I don't think Jethro Tull, but it was like, gosh, see, those are the parts too. It's like, some music that I can relate to. I don't know what it is. Like
something that plays on the Hawk.
Yeah, there we go. It was the same thing that happened to me. I was literally like, I was working this photo booth for like, I a school like whatever graduation dance, and then there was some other DJ from Modesto playing music and so on. I was just doing the photo stuff, and I remember like just the music. It's like I have no idea what any of this newfangled music is for the stuff. And then it's like there's like a 70s song came on, and just like not really thinking of it, but just my brain's like, something I can relate to, and it was just like, there we go. So something from my time period, though it's ironic because it's not really, but it's just from watching so many old movies as a child that's what feels more like my generation of tunes.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through. Oh my god, goddamn!
I can't remember, but
fan people making their Spotify playlist, adding a bunch of other shit. I just want to find that song, whatever.
I hate that too. It's like, no, just give me the real soundtrack.
Yeah, there wasn't 49 songs in there. I know that. It wasn't a 3-hour, 15-minute soundtrack. Come the fuck on.
It's longer than the movie itself. I mean, granted, I know most songs are edited in movies, but
yeah.
He's back. He's back.
Got that motherfucker this time. Yeah, motherfucker. Ooh. Well, he's wounded, but yeah. Anyway, I gotta kill mosquitoes. So we should wrap this up.
Oh, damn it.
I gotta kill a mosquito in here, so we gotta wrap this up.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, overall, I still think the Flash movie is a good movie. You're gonna have a good time no matter what. I enjoyed it all the way kind of through, even if like some of the little, as I said, I just think that like past the first battle scene, like and that part's the only part that's a little bit kind of slow when he goes back in time for the beginning, and there's like not action for like a half an hour almost, but beyond that, though, I still think it is all what it is. If you just take it at face value, it's a solid picture.
Yeah, it's fun. I liked it. It was. I think some people are dismissing it too much as like, the end of it just devolves into madness and ridiculous. I don't know, whatever.
That didn't bother me as much as I guess it bothers other people.
I thought it was a little like I didn't think it was as fine-tuned as other stuff, but it is the rest of the movie. But I still thought it was just the whole thing with jamming Black Flash in there at the last minute. The way they try to make sense of it was a little sloppy, but overall, I still really thought the movie was pretty fun. And if you like Flash, you like DC Comics, I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, no, it's a fun one. So we can look forward to, I guess, Blue Beetle next and go from there.
Yeah. So hopefully Blue Beetle, hopefully that one is really fun too. So we'll find out.
Yeah, I hope so. It does look 2004 superhero-y, but that's okay.
It was originally made for streaming, and they decided to bump up the budget and turn it into a theatrical film. So hopefully they put more money into it, and hopefully it comes out awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully this will just have all the stuff that like how like with the rest of the movies we've been like blowing it like in the trailers. Guess what? Blue Beetle? No, you're not gonna expect what's gonna come in Blue Beetle. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're gonna go hardcore. We're gonna throw some booster gold in there too and all kinds of stuff. Oh, shit.
Maybe. Looks we already saw hints to the original Blue Beetle in there, so time will tell.
Yeah, but until then, go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys and all that old fun stuff. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.